So hello and welcome to Own Your Divine Light show. I am Janet Miller and I invite you to listen to the miraculous life awakening, miraculous teachings and life awakening messages of Tammy Demirza, who has been called the Freedom Alchemist. She is the illusion breaker, the freedom creator, the life educator, and the bliss maker. And I will tell you, she has earned these titles. Tammy has earned them with every bit of her being. And she is the most amazing medium and gifted person I have met yet. I mean, Tammy has gifts that you just can't even imagine. So Tammy's mission is also to, as we said, to empower others, guiding them home to themselves with tools she has learned and applied in her life, and are now allowing others to overcome patterns and issues in their life, giving them the awareness that can set them free and create an authentic life that they love. Welcome, Tammy. I'm so honored to have you here.
Thank you, Janet. It's an honor to be with you. And thank all of you who are listening.
Tammy, your journey of owning your divine light has been incredible. I mean, I've finished your book, the medium and the inmate and the medium, which is just an incredible book. It has so many life lessons in it. Your journey has been one of trust, courage, deep faith, and the willingness to go to any length to follow the spiritual laws and principles you have learned. Can you tell us how this journey started?
It's amazing because I was kind of upset because I'm one of those people that I want to do more, I want to do more, I want to grow. There's a certain pressure that I think we all feel, and all of your listeners come in that way, and especially those of us that happen to know that we came to do big things. There's a knowingness that we come in with, and when that is not satisfied, when we know that we're not completely doing all that we can do or being all that we can be, there's a restlessness that actually turns into pain. And I was experiencing that level of pain of this is not enough. How I am living, who I am, how I identify myself is not enough. So I was begging for a mentor, a physical mentor, Janet. And in the process of that, I found two women, one nationally known medium and one internationally known medium, who ended up getting very upset at me and were quite controlling. And the one that was known internationally, I was telling her in following her meditation class that I was coming out of my body. At this juncture, I didn't know what that meant. And I was freaked out. Very often when I used to experience new things that are supernatural or, not typically what mankind experiences, I would get afraid. So I got in touch with my teacher and said, what happened to me? What is this? I don't understand. And she got angry and said, I did not give you permission to astrally travel. And I said, oh, that's what it's called? What is that? And she was just, yes, I didn't give you permission to do that. And so guess how long she lasted as my teacher? That day. That was it. So I'm in this process of asking the non-physical, I want a teacher. I want to grow. This is not enough. I need something. I don't even know what it is that I need. And there was a desperation in it. And then suddenly one day I'm walking around my house, and about a month and a half later, 3 months later, whatever it was, I hear, do you want your curriculum? Do you want your Earth School system? And I went, okay, yes. And I got really excited. Yes, you're going to give me a teacher, a physical teacher. Because Janet, in my case, at 11 years old, the communication started. And then I didn't have somebody physically to put together these principles and laws, and I wanted a physical being. But the non-physical kept saying, we don't want you to get it that way. We want you to get it directly, not through channels and beings and mediums and people who do this work. Because if you get it directly, then you can teach others to get it directly. And to teach others how to connect. So I'm at this juncture where I'm like, okay, all right, fine. You don't want me to have a physical teacher. Then how do I learn? So then they gave me this curriculum, and I said yes. And they said, are you sure you want this? This is not going to be easy. This is not going to be an easy journey. But you will evolve and you will become more enlightened, more aware. And I said, yes, Lord, yes. And then I heard the worst story you've ever heard. The worst story you've ever heard of overcoming, having to learn alchemy in a way that is by design, a way that teaches you or forces you to either be, I was homeless for a while, to be in that position of having nothing and creating something from nothing. And even after that, I said yes. So just even with those promptings, I said yes. Because my heart's desire is to grow. And if we follow our hearts, if we pay attention to the longings, the cravings, the desire, and we ask, what is it that I'm even missing? Because most of us are uncomfortable and we don't even know why we're uncomfortable. Well, I knew that I wanted to get past where I was. You can feel when you get to a plateau. And some of us really want to, after climbing that mountain, and it's painful to grow. It's painful. It's both painful and pleasurable. And once you get to the plateau, or what you would consider, well, I climbed this hill, would you please just let me stay here for a while? Then the next thing immediately begins. And this was my journey.
Oh, it's an incredible one too. Wow. I have to give you credit, because it was not for the faint of heart.
No, but aren't every one of us brave in our own ways that we are even here in this land of dichotomies and judgment and fear energy and love energy? We are all brave to be here. So if we understand that we actually have the skills and the tool set already in us for the curriculum that we have decided to go through, it's a little bit easier to do that. It's hard to see it in the midst of the storm of it or the pain of it. But Spirit kept reminding me, and I am most thankful for every single person that was in my life that I learned from, that contributed, and were really servants in some ways. Human beings are really servants to each other.
I agree with that totally. Yeah, because I know in my own journey, I've had a lot of lessons that to different levels of depth that have affected me. And yours came from one direction, mine came from another, and it was very deep, and I never knew I had to go to those levels to get to this. And I, like you, always said, yes, I'm going to continue. I don't want to give up. I'm going to continue. I'm not giving up. And that's my slogan. Don't give up. Never give up, Janet. Even when I was at the despair, like I can never get through this. This is never going to change. I kept going because I felt like I had to. It was important. And I knew I had the spiritual awakening. I knew there was something better that I was working towards. And that's what you said. So I had the trust, really. And it was like we all doubt. So that's part of it. But we kept going. And that is just the most amazing thing. And of course, you talk about people, you remove the veil from our eyes. That we're here to remove the veil. And if you want to explain that to people, because some people don't know what that means.
So what we do is we come in as very evolved spiritual beings, the birthing process coming from spirit, where there's bliss and connection and unity and love. And then we come into this physical realm. From what I understand, we are really, really brave for even coming here. And I have met people that in the womb, I told them, you did not want to come out. You were late. You kept postponing your birth because you were feeling the energy of this realm and what it feels like and what was going on, in the dynamics of the home. And not only the home, but what was going on in this world. Some of us wanted to delay our births because we're like, no, I think I'll just stay here. I know I agreed to come, but I think I'll just stay inside. And then the process of us coming out, and we're still very close to spirit. If you've seen babies cooing, or they're really communicating with spirit, because the transition is too graphic and too hard to come in without that connection. And then what happens is we go through this process of an immediacy. It's like a holy instant where everything changes and we forget and we feel detached from the spirit. So that longing begins. And I have found that in doing so many sessions, when Spirit wants to teach me something. They'll have like 6 or 8 clients coming in with me giving them repetitious information. You decided at 5 months, this time. It's amazing. And then you see that we go through this process of learning this physicality. We are really brainwashed here. We develop a filter system or a veil that comes in front of us that really closes us off from the connection that we have with all of humanity. So that veil is what I'm talking about, is what the Bible was talking about, that inner chamber. And when you really study the first temple that was created by Moses, supposedly written about, there were like 3 chambers. And inside the inner chamber was the connection that only one priest, one time a year, could go into. As a matter of fact, they'd tie a rope around his leg, because if he hadn't done all the sacraments, if he hadn't gone counterclockwise and wiping the bowl, if the sheep or the lamb wasn't pure, then he would die standing in front of the Holy of Holies. So we have this idea that we are separate from that interconnection, from the closeness of being in communion, of having the ability to just straightforward run naked, as I say, into the throne room and say, here I am. Just look at me. I'm not going to hide where I am. I'm not going to hide what I'm doing. And just using our personality, Janet, to communicate with the non-physical. I'm a smart ass, and I'm challenging, and I'm dramatic. So the way that I communicate with the non-physical is, all right, come on, take me out. Do me a favor, take me out. I'm not doing that right now. I need to know something. If we don't know who we are, because we have been trained like cattle to go into the school system, and you have to answer a test this way, and some people are cognitive learners, and some people learn by hearing, and some people learn different ways, and we're not honored as being individuals, then we're not going to use our voice. And most of us have throat chakra areas that need to be healed because we're not even speaking our own truth. I just worked with a client just moments ago, and I was telling her, you don't even know who you are. You don't even know where your voice is. You're using other people's words, and it doesn't resonate. It's polarity. It's a separation of you. Yes. So I would say that the veil is really the separation that we believe that we have between not only us and what we perceive to be as God or spirit, but also us with us. So our lives are really about breaking down the barriers, the things that we believe, the things that other people have taught us, the things that we identify ourselves with. And once we get an identity, have you noticed, Janet, that unless somebody challenges it, we're just doing status quo. We're just doing what, in the degree of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. The work is turning and facing ourselves and really looking at our lives and saying, what is this world showing me that I am created? I'm in charge of this. I'm not a victim. I get to choose. And so the veil is just the mask or the identity or the thought processes, or if you had a parent who wasn't loving, then you believe you're not lovable. That is all a lie. And so what I do is I say, let's break that veil. Let's unleash. Let's put the puzzle of your life together and help you to see the truth about not only how you're behaving, which is not even resonating with most people, but also who you truly are. And once you start to make that crossover into who you are, which is something, Janet, by the way, you have done very well at. By the way, I just want to take a moment, and I'm getting emotional. I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank you for being willing to have this show. I want to thank you that you have already infused your heart energy in this, and I felt this the very first time that you spoke to me. I just wanted you to know I saw you, you saw me. That's because we have been breaking down the barriers. And when you do that and you get rid of the filter system, which looks in the non-physical realm like static or fog, You can't really see clearly. You don't know where to go. You don't see a pathway. You can't figure out where you're supposed to go. You feel frustrated because you feel stuck. Why can't I see? Why can't I hear? Why can't I move? Why can't I accomplish my dreams, my goals? Why am I staying where I am? It's really because you do not know yourself. And you have belief systems that are keeping you in that space, and you will stay there until you find someone to reach into that matter, that behavior, that ways of being, grabs your hand, massages your heart, challenges you, which is what a masterful teacher will do, challenge you and support you. That is when it starts to clear. And the rewards are you become more clear. You start getting divine messages, inspirational thoughts, ideas that you couldn't even conceive of, ways of looking at things. Things start falling into place. Miracles start occurring. That's the rewards. And that is why you and I said we will not stop. Because we see the pain in the growth, the pain in. And what I tell people is we really have shields over our heart. And I've seen these breastplates that are thick and metal, and I see the split start to occur as someone resonates with the truth. And they realize that the hunger is there. And once they do that, they start saying, I'm hungry. I'm hungry, and I want it. When you do that, the breastplate, that shield starts to crack. And then when the unfolding of that breastplate is opened and the heart comes out, you become the contributor to all of mankind because you are breathing. And it's beautiful. And this is the work that you have done.
Thank you. And you too. I mean, that's exactly what you're doing. Oh my goodness. And you know, that's interesting you brought that up, because when I was in healing school, my teacher, I would go to her occasionally for, I would go to her a lot actually for individual healing work. And at one point she said, I removed that shield over your heart, Janet. And there you go. You're talking exactly about the shield. And I got chills because she said, I removed that shield over your heart, Janet. And then things just opened up more, you know. And I remember before healing school, I took my son healer when he was young to do a particular kind of work called consegrity, which was the thing at the time, and he needed it for something. And the teacher said, well, your heart isn't over, Janet. And I went, I'm not surprised. I was protecting myself. So I kind of understood that. I was protecting myself. But then when I went to healing school, it opened because of my willingness to be vulnerable now, be open. And I was taking the shields and all the veil down. I was willing to let it go. I was done with that. And I wanted to step into who I was, as you're doing with your work, which you've done continuously. And you've gotten to this amazing level of mastery that you're helping people with. So thank you. And thank you for that. Everything you said, I appreciate what you said about the show. I really appreciate that.
You are welcome. I see you.
Thank you. I see you very well. Oh my goodness. And you're so clear in your sight. It's the clarity you have is amazing. And I have to let people know that when you speak, what you're saying is so, you've learned this and the knowledge is deep. So, so also you talk about the Holy Trinity. Can you tell us what that means? Because I love some of the things you use that I know, and these are religious, but it's not religious necessarily. It's all about, people and how to keep moving in your path and how to.
One of the things that we're taught, Janet, is that we're just supposed to look at the physical.
Right.
Get afraid when we just look at the physical, because look at this. There's hatred and discrepancies and prejudices and non-acceptance. Now, we are making big strides in that. I remember a song where a lady was saying, I'm bipolar, I wear mommy jeans, get over it. We are starting to move, but we are still in a place of really non-acceptance and judgment and pain and punishment, and the religious people are the ones that are killing everybody. I mean, in the Spanish Inquisition, that's what it was all about. You have to believe my way. It's really that we are not knowing ourselves, because the true nature of every one of us is love and acceptance and peace and joy, and understanding that there's a balance in this life of growth is painful, but it also brings rewards. And understanding these concepts. When we are trying to justify why we are where we are, when we're making excuses, when we are not really paying attention to how we feel about being stuck, then the chances and the opportunity for us to go to the next level is non-existent. And it's only until we get uncomfortable. The pain is actually an instigator, Janet, of us getting uncomfortable enough that we go, okay, I got it. I'm uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because when you get to the truth sets you free. So when you find people making excuses or justifying or blaming other people, then they're just basically stuck and they're not growing. And they're out of alignment and they know it, but they don't know how to move forward. If you just simply move into, okay, I'm uncomfortable, and then feel your body, once you acknowledge that and you just say, I'm uncomfortable, I want to grow, then the ease of it starts automatically coming in. And so I see for people that we are basically coming in. We came here to grow. It is the only reason we are here. We came here to really get rid of the degrees of separation between us and the non-physical, us and everyone else. And when you start to become whole and unfragmented, then you can present yourself as this beautiful light. You don't have to justify. You don't have to pressure people to get it. Everything just becomes an offering. And at this juncture, it's quite entertaining to be here. I don't get caught up in, I have to help you, because that's actually a form of judgment.
Okay.
So I stay in this space of, I am here, and if you wish to find me or come to me, I will be glad to be of service to you, but watch out, because you're going to get both pain and pleasure in dealing with the masterful teacher.
Yes.
And you know that this is the concept of growth. And let me tell you what is the crux of the pain. The identities and the belief systems that we have built up is who we know ourselves to be. I remember when I was in counseling, when I was early 30s, and I'm working with this counselor, and he's got, why are you staying here? Why are you stuck? Why are you doing this? And I said something really profound, and I said, because as sick as this is, it is what I know. What scares me more is the unknown. How do I provide for myself? How do I find work? I've been at home for 11 years. Yes, I've made some money at home, but I didn't know who I was. And so if you understand who you are, and this is what this masterful teacher has just done with me, Tony Salimi, he dug deep. And who are you? What have you done? What is this about? And now I'm going to start painting for my clients because I studied art. As a matter of fact, Janet, if you look, that painting right there is my last painting that I did.
Wow.
And so I have been wanting to paint. A masterful teacher, someone who can see beyond just your behavior, your identity, and how you are living. We're really killing pieces of ourselves that we believe that we are. And it feels like we're dying. That pain feels like, I can't handle this. This is too painful. But really, we're just laying down the false pieces of us that keep us separate from all of us and all of humanity. And that process is quite beautiful. And I am honored, as I know you are, when you see people change and grasp and get aha moments and awaken to a beautiful awareness and truth. You and I both celebrate that, and others.
I do. I know. I mean, I've heard what you've done for people. I mean, some of the miracles you've said in your book. You talked about, this one woman who you did a reading for her, and she was so upset with it, and she was angry at you, and you knew she was angry, but you let it go because you knew you stepped back from it because you didn't take it on anymore. It's her journey, and then what you predicted came true for her. And she, all of a sudden, when she was in this particular moment of the situation, she realized that this is exactly what you had told her would happen. And you kept saying to her, I see you doing this. What is this all about? And she just said, oh my gosh. And then she dropped all her anger with you and called you up, and you came back to you and had another reckoning with you, and she actually, accepted her choice in life at that point. And it was quite an amazing, what an amazing piece it is in that book.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listeners and you don't understand this story, I'll tell you just a little bit about it. This lady came to me. She met me at a Course in Miracles little study group in the Villages, Florida, and we connected immediately. And then she finally scheduled a reading, and she's sitting there with her arms crossed. And every single thing that I'm saying to her, she's stiff, she's rigid, she's not getting this. I'm reading the thoughts of my clients, by the way, when I'm in session, and I know what they're thinking. Most of the time I do not tell them. I may tell them 2 or 3 sessions later, do you remember when you were thinking this? I can tell you verbatim what you thought, what you said. And then sometimes in sessions I'll say, you want to fire me? You want me to leave your house right now? Or you won't? And I've had that happen too. But what happened to her was she had a brain tumor. And I pointed out in the session, what is going on this side of your brain? It's right here. And I pointed because she kind of jerked away from me a little bit because she wasn't receptive. But actually it changed her life because months later, I was asking her, listen, I never say this. You've got to hear me, or please listen. This is a choice you can make, but please go straight to the doctor. There's something in there and it's going to hit you. And she ended up having to have brain surgery like a month and a half, 2 months later. And then she came back to me crying and saying, I talked about you. I said, yeah, and I can tell you exactly what you said because Spirit was telling me. She's talking about you right now, and she's telling people how fake you are, how wrong you are, and yet she ended up having the very thing that I was talking about. So thank you for bringing that up. And then she ended up transitioning by choosing consciously that she was ready to go. It's a fascinating story of her coming into where I was living and me saying, wait a minute. You told me you came here for healing, but the truth is you decided to transition. Let me find out what is holding you, what the guilt, blame, and shame is. And as I scanned her body, they can go to the book and read that story. It's fascinating.
It is. It's beautiful. It's just a little tiny piece of what's in that book. That book could be a textbook of learning how to be on this journey and the road you travel, because it's the hero's journey. It's totally the hero's journey you traveled. It's the road less traveled, and you chose it, and I'm choosing it as well. But yours is got an amazing. As you said, Rama, it was there. You had it all.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, and I will write a book about this because each of us are going to go through the same level of training, and it is synchronistic how Spirit, and it's brilliant how Spirit has overcome this, and then you got this next level, and then you got this next level, and then you got this next level. Every single one of us are going to get it. Every single one of us are going to go through the same doorways, the same levels, and synchronicity in that order. And it's brilliant how Spirit organizes and creates and instigates, and how other people are collaborating by instigating and pressuring you and poking you, and even your family members and bosses who don't see you. It's because you don't see you. They're trying to show you this is your issue in life. You're not honoring you. You're not seeing you. So I, by design, have to show you that. That's my job. That is the instigators. That's what humanity is here for, is to help us to grow. And when we are not paying attention to that, when we don't know that, and we just walk around in pain, then we're really living in the lower chakras, and we're surviving, and we're in fear. And the issue is, and it was interesting because before we did this, listeners, I want to tell you that she did a grounding technique, and you did something really, really good. You were talking about going into the lower chakras and then rising. That's really where it comes from, because our first natural instinct is survival. That is the bottom chakra. I have read people that I said, your lower chakra is bulbinous and red and is inflamed and is the largest chakra system that is operating. If we help you to understand why you're living only there, then you can rise. And so your grounding, Janet, was beautiful because you started there and then you did the rising. And I could feel the energy as you did it. I would ask you to teach that at some point on your radio show.
Well, it was taught to me by a mentor teacher too. I did a technique similar, but she incorporated a little extra for it. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And it's been just so life-changing as far as the grounding, which is so important for people. I don't think we realize how much we're up in our heads and up in the air. We all like being up, but in order to go high, we have to go deep into the earth first and connect there. And then we can rise up into the higher levels. But we have to be grounded on earth because it comes through the physical.
Yeah, most of us, even spiritual teachers, are trying to put spiritual Novocaine on people or Band-Aid on things. Think positive thoughts. Think positive thoughts. Well, I want to tell you something. Unless you go into the pain of it, you cannot go to the pleasure of it. There's an earth system here that until we understand that pain is valuable and pleasure is valuable, both in equal measure, then we're going to be a bit lost because we're all looking for the next carrot, the next bit of money, the next accomplishment, the next good job value, or the next educational thing. It's an inside job. And if we understand that there is pain here and we accept that and we dive into it, as I teach my clients and my students, if you'll just dive into that and go, wait, I'm feeling pain. It's an opportunity. I've just immediately transcended staying in the pain because my awareness is, and this is something you saw constantly in the book, I was actually working through those principles myself. So that 6-year journey that I talk about is the journey that every single person has the opportunity to go through. And I learned to use every single predicament, and it is just a predicament. I learned to use every single one of those as an opportunity. This is for my good. If I use this, if I go into it, if I dig into it, if I purposefully look at it, and I look at what is it teaching me, what is it showing me about me, then I can overcome it. And it is beautiful when you get to another level. So I know that every single person is going to go through all those levels, but here is something really priceless, is that as you are going through the different levels of involvement and growth, you are being privately, intrinsically, personally, just for you, purposefully given information that is just for you. So Spirit takes into account, and they have taught me how to do this with everybody that I teach, is to go individually. How does this person process things? How do they think? What are their issues? What it is their belief systems are? What have they been through? How do they learn? What level of intelligence do they have? How quickly do they get information? How quickly do they process? Does it take them time? And I am amenable, and I become this chameleon in dealing with my individual clients in that way. This is something that is mastery level that I know you are learning to do. You're currently in process of learning more about it, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
I used to work with my client a lot of insights, and I'm stepped away for a while from that, but I'm just open to what's next. Besides, which is amazing. This is what's happening right now. So I'm in the moment. I'm staying present, and I love an amazing opportunity I'm being given. So I'm staying here. But I love what you just said, and people look at how they can look at life without being a victim. I mean, you're giving these steps of how to let go of victimhood, and people don't even, like, I know when I first got into the work of healing and learning how to heal myself, I learned I had choices. What is it about life? You actually have choices. And I would say that to people, and they'd go, I don't have a choice. I said, but you do. And it's a real shock to hear you have a choice, because we don't want to take responsibility for it. And this is kind of my thing, and I've said it in a couple other places. And I just know that choice has made the biggest difference for me, to know that now I'm responsible for everything I choose. And an awakening that it's people either choose to take that awakening information, and that totally opens the door to everything else in my mind.
Yes.
I don't know how you feel about that, but how do you feel about it?
I would love to talk about the victim mindset that most
yes,
people are
ask
about.
yeah.
So being a victim is basically saying, I can't believe this happened to me. Why did this happen to me? When you hear yourself saying things like that, when you are blaming other people, when you are saying, if you would just act differently, if you would just love me more, if you would buy me a diamond ring, if you would do all of these things, that is projecting outwards. So that is the victim mindset, believe it or not. Every single thing of if you pointing at others, not looking at oneself, but Janet, how many people are really teaching us that we are responsible? And if we acknowledge it, then we start to get free, because it is the first step in a recipe that Spirit has given me on how to get someone to freedom. Is you first have to acknowledge the predicament in which you are in. And if you have been taught it's everybody else's fault, my boss did this, my mate did this, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my kids, my parents, I have a right to be in this position because of their behavior, then you're the victim. And guess what is so important for us to know? Victim has no power and does not get to choose. Because the victim is fear energy, and it means I get to stay stuck. I'm going to gripe and complain. And I learned in my 20s something very, very important about this. When people would come to me and start throwing up and just telling me all their problems, I was like, okay, Spirit, all right, God, what do I do with this? And then I finally, I'm talking about, I'm probably 21 years old. I started telling people, okay, you've told me this 3 times. You either have to do something about it, or you cannot come to me and complain because you're playing the victim. When people are just talking about the problems or the issues or the what I call predicaments, then they are just staying stuck and giving themselves excuse. And here's the weird part. You can feel good doing that for a few minutes. You can call your friend or your mate or your boss or whoever and say, this and this and this and this and this happened. And you can feel good for about 15 minutes, maybe even a few hours, but it'll rise again, because each of us have a certain curriculum that we came here to overcome, and it's very much like the hands of a clock. It's going to come back around. It is going to come back around. But the good news is, if you'll go in, if you'll look at, I'm not a victim, and the fact that I'm complaining, the fact that I'm looking at other people, the fact that I feel like this happened to me, I'm a victim. Look at me, feel sorry for me. You're going to have the same things happening over and over and over again. Our job is to overcome it.
Yes.
And once we get to that truth of acknowledging, oh wow, I actually have some patterns going on. I actually have things that are happening in my life that, wow, I attract the same boss everywhere I go. You can move to Africa to get away from your family, and guess what? You will find that family in Africa with a different name, different clothes. Because it is your curriculum. It is your agreement. It is what you came here to overcome. So if we just move into alignment of, I'm not a victim, I get to choose, then everything in your life starts changing. And then you start celebrating every single thing that comes to you, every single behavior that comes to you. I go, oh boy, okay, I know this. I've seen this in my life before. What are you here to teach me? I look at every single human being as my teacher, and that I can learn something from you. What are you showing me? What are you showing me about me? And what are you showing me about humanity? And how can I read this energy so that I can help a client when I see them participating and behaving that way? I don't look at the behavior as the identification. I look at the behavior as, you're just in a predicament. Let's get to the truth about it.
Okay.
So Janet, for those of us who understand these concepts and these principles, as you well know, in you doing this radio show, it's a calling. And the heart behind it, I'm just going to tell your listeners that the heart behind you being here is that you understand how stuck people are. And you understand what it feels like to be there, to not know, to not feel, to feel numb, to feel like the victim. And you want to participate and really good teachers coming forward and saying, I can show you because I personify, because I overcame myself.
Yes.
And then we are helping other people because we're not just teaching the spiritual laws. We're not just superficially talking about it. We're not just saying, oh, go sit in the corner and meditate and feel good for 15 minutes. We're saying, let's get real with it. Yes. This is work.
It is.
This is painful. Let's do it. You'll get rewards.
Yeah. And that, that's why I wanted to do this show, just say own your divine light, because you can do it. We can all do it. And it is a journey, and it's not going to be all glory. It's going to be pain, but through the pain, like you said, all the rewards, the gold at the end of the rainbow, the learning that you get. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's like I've lived many lifetimes in this one life. I can honestly say, I feel like I've lived so many lifetimes because I have experienced so much emotionally and knowledgeably through people and the experiences I've had with them all. It's like, wow. And you talked about it. A really interesting point in your book was that one of your friends, I forget his name, when you were down in Florida, yelled at you once, was really yelling at you when you were going to buy the house. And he was just going, and you just took it. You just listened to him. And then you said, well, I absolutely understand that he was teaching me something. And whatever he had to say, I will just take it. And his wife was all worried you're going to be mad at him. And you did not take that. You didn't hold that at all. You just said, no. And it was such a new way to look at it. And I'm like, I've looked at that a little that way, but it's like, oh my goodness, it's exactly what we need to do, is to look as a learning, it's a teaching. And I know that, but it's always good to see it again, because we need reminders. We constantly need reminders to help people say, okay, step back. There's something here for me. There's a gold in this mess here, in this mud that's going on around me. I can dig around it and find something, and it's going to bring up something new for me and clear the air and clear my life. And your whole life started changing then, because you took control there. You made the decisions. You knew what you wanted. That was your alignment. You became in alignment, and you said, I know exactly what I want now. Because before you knew you were in alignment, you were waffling. Things weren't coming. You called it the waiting. And I think that was amazing, the waiting. And we all wait. We think, like I was waiting for a while, going, what's going to happen? But now I've learned you have to take the action. You have to take the action to things that you want. It's like the joke where the guy's in the boat going, asking God to come save. Oh, he's on the roof, and all these things come by, the plane and the boat. And he's still on the roof, and he goes, well, I'm waiting for God to save me. Well, just sent you all these things. Why don't you just take them? I mean, seriously, what do you need? How much information do you need to take this opportunity to get this help that you need? So
we need people like you that are broadcasting and teaching these principles and these truths, because Janet, as you well know, the truth sets everyone free. And what Janet is talking about is, I was placing my order, but I had trepidation. I knew the spiritual concepts of, I'm not a victim. Okay, got that principle, but I am homeless. I don't even have any money. And I am placing my order for a home that backs up to a lake, because at the place that I was renting, I could see an inch of a lake out in the distance. And I went, okay, fine. If you want me to move, Spirit, you want me to move, God, then I'm going to place my order. I wasn't solidified in it. I wasn't sure of it. And when Bear, who I absolutely love, he used to have all kinds of meetings in his house, being a spiritual, evolved person that's helping. When he called me and said, who do you think you are? Nobody is going to rent to you. You don't have a job. You don't have money. You don't have money in your bank account. Who do you think you are? Tammy, you have got to get with it. I was getting angry, Janet. I was feeling the emotion rising up inside of me, which I'm going to reveal even more about that really it was me questioning myself. And what Bear was doing was just showing me, you got this opposing view here, and you're straddling the fence, and you got to choose. And so in that moment of listening to him, I was like, oh, wow, I'm feeling anger come up. I'm feeling emotion coming up. I want to tell you to kiss my ass, Bear. I really did. But I was like, no. I know what that means. And I know when I feel anger, when I feel a response, that you're trying to help me. You're being of service to me. You're instigating me, choosing. I'm not a victim. And so I got off the phone and went, okay, fine. I know what he's doing. Or I remember asking Spirit, all right, what was the point of that? And what do I need to face? And I heard, you're not sure. And you're waffling. And you don't know which way you really want to go. And you don't really believe. You don't really believe solidly. You know to place your orders, Tammy. You've created alchemy in the past. But in this case, this is a big one. How are you going to handle this? Are you sure of what you want? Mm-hmm. Are you sure that you want the home backed up? And by that night, I had the home. Mm-hmm. So the next day at lunch, Bear is standing out there, and he's got his arms crossed, and he's just shaking his head as I'm walking up, and he said, I cannot wait to hear how you pulled this one off. And I said, I used you. I used you. I want to hug you. I want to thank you for pushing me. Because really, this world is instigating. There is a conspiracy, sweetheart. And the conspiracy is that we are being pushed to grow and to choose and to decide. So kudos to you for even knowing that there is a choice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh, that's beautiful. I love the gems that came out of your book is incredible. It should be a textbook. It's incredible. It's so full. It took me a while to read it, but I mean, I couldn't stop reading because it had so much beautiful knowledge and insights. And you walk the path, as you say. Until you walk the path yourself, you can't teach anyone else.
No.
And every time I had a client, I had been just through, they were going through, I would get those clients in and they would be mirroring everything I had just gone through. And I said, my goodness, this is how it works. How interesting is that?
And it's surprising that the clients come so quickly after you just learned it, right?
Yes.
I was like, wait a minute, I don't really feel prepared.
Right.
This, but they're in front of me. I have to help them.
Yes.
You know? And it's not about having to do anything. It's more about having the heart of a servant.
Yes, and choosing to do
what it is that you get. Yeah.
And it's such a fulfilling, to me, it was, when I started doing this work, I knew I was home. This was home for me. I mean, you feel it. You just know you're home. So anything, what do you see for 2019? Is there anything particular you have for insights for people, or even in your own life, anything you feel like is important for us to know about 2019?
There is a shaking going on. Mm-hmm. And there are people that are checking out because of this shaking. There is a real pressurizing thing going on right now for people to get it. If you're feeling more uncomfortable than you were last year, it's on purpose.
Okay.
If you are feeling more discontent, more in disharmony, more dis-of-ease, which is disease, then it is on purpose. If you can understand that and know that there is a real shaking going on, from the government to the Catholic Church to organized religion to belief systems to politics, everything, you can see it in every aspect of our lives. If you can dig into that and say, okay, all right, okay, instead of fighting it, instead of justifying, instead of excusing it, instead of not looking at it, instead of not honoring it, I'm going to say, okay, I'm hurting. I'm in pain. I don't like where I am. Mm-hmm. I need some help. And you go to the non-physical. You can even say to your higher self or your spirit, which is part of that Holy Trinity. We're not paying enough attention to the non-physical sides of us, which is the larger piece. This little physical body is so little. Mm-hmm. It really is tiny, and it's nothing. We don't die. We just lay down this physical form. The emotional side of us in that Holy Trinity is where we store belief systems, thoughts, belief system identities, what this person said to you, and then it's affecting you all of your life. That's our emotional realm. It's also happiness, it's joy, it's love, it's all of these things. But the spirit is what we need to connect with the most, or think about connecting with the most, so that we can become more whole. Because when the Holy Trinity is in alignment, all three segments, miracles. Miracles, things coming into place that you never dreamed of. More than, I do know this, whenever I have gotten frustrated and I've asked for help, I've gotten truthful and honest, and I have that kind of authenticity, which really is, look up the synonyms for authenticity. You'll be surprised. Integrity, honesty, forthrightness, all of these things are involved in that. When I get honest and I say, I need some help with this, and I'm asking because I know you intend to help me. That's what my guides and angels are here for. The non-physical is lining up. I've seen them very often lined up with pads in their hands to figuratively show me, like, would you please ask your client to give us something to do? We're just standing here. They're not communicating with us. We're here to guide. We're here to help. And so if we get in that spiritual awareness, that we're not just these physical bodies, we're not just these physical experiences, we're not just the emotions, we're not just the pain or the elation, and we're spirit. If we connect with that and that is in alignment, then miracles and movement and hope and love and wanting to run and jump and turn cartwheels and play on the playground all comes into place.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. That is exactly what people need to hear. Honestly, that is a beautiful message. Thank you. And I hope you all really, take that in, because it's important to know, because that's what is happening. That's how I see it. But you put it in the words that I just perfect.
Thank you.
Your incredible journey has been extraordinary. And as I said to you earlier, not for the faint of heart, but we have to be willing, and that's why we're here in this life. Everyone has to be willing, because it's a special life we're in here, and it's really important to do the work. And you know what? It's not, it's hard, but it's still, the rewards are so incredible. I mean, you learn to love yourself, which is just a huge thing. That's what I thought. That's what this show is all about: learning to love yourself. And your knowledge that you've acquired and so generously shared, and you're such a blessing and a blazing, brilliant aurora of awareness and truth. And I know you have a gift. I'd like you to, if you'd like to share just a little bit about your gift that you're going to give to the group.
Yes, actually, there's a couple of things that I would like to mention. One, I will give you an audio file of me reading the 4th chapter of my book. And it's really interesting, because when you get into that and you are able to put yourself in the prison walls, that's what everybody says when they hear or they read that chapter, is I really talk about what it was like to walk into the walls of prison, to go visit, and what my view was, what my perception was, what my expectations were, and what the truth is about the illusion that we are living. Then I'm going to give that away. The other thing is, if people will sign up for my email list, I give homeopathic recipes and all kinds of nuggets and videos and YouTube and all kinds of things for people to connect to hear this message again and again. Because as you well know, Janet, there's a certain vibration that comes with connecting with somebody that may be just a little bit further down the journey than you. We are just like each other, but some people have become more aware. And connecting with that energy and getting emails and getting recipes, that because I read Edgar Cayce and I heard, him say, this body needs this tonic or this body needs this thing. And I went, okay, well, here goes. If you will do this for Edgar Cayce, then you will do this for me and all of my sinus infections. And he gave me a tonic, and I call it Tammy's tea. Wow. So if they will connect with me, then I will constantly be giving gifts. I'm having a meeting tomorrow night where I'm giving away things. So, and also I'm starting a radio show, and people will be able to hear things. So just go to my website. It's down right this moment because it's being reworked. But if you'll go or you'll email me at Tammy@TammyDemirza, then I will put you on the email list. And you'll start getting some of this information, and let me know that it is through Janet, and I will send you an audio file of me reading the book and talking to you personally.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Oh my goodness. And I would love to ask all the people watching, all our listeners, to please write in. Tell us how you like the show. What did you get from this? What nuggets of knowledge did you get from this show? Which I'm sure you had to get something because it was incredible. And please, we read them all, so we'd love to hear from you. And Tammy, you, as I said, you are such an amazing, your love that you give to people and the compassion and unique, the insights that you can see and share is just unbelievable. And you've learned all this through owning your divine light. And I know you've helped so many people and you continue to help. I mean, your generosity is boundless. You will fly to people. You go wherever people you are called, and you are totally the most giving, loving servant that is here as far as, the work you do. And it's miraculous what you do. So
I'm going to turn this on you a bit. To know that about me, you are that.
Oh,
you are everything that you just described about me. And we are both just in this journey, learning how to be what we came here to be, learning to be whole, learning to use our voice. And I just want to say it's an honor to be in your presence. It really is. As soon as you contacted me, I was like, wait a minute, how did you even find me? And you researched on Google, and it's funny because my website is down right now. So you're brilliant. You are me. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I feel like I
carry on.
I feel like I know you so many ways.
Yes.
Thank you, Tammy. And you have helped so many people step into their authenticity, unlock their passions, and live the life they love. And that is what this is all about when you own your divine light. So I am Janet Miller, and I will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Thank you.